Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the No Laying Up preview show, presented as always by the DraftKings Sportsbook. DJ Pyhowski here, joined in many different locations by my associate Tron Carter. Tron is actually just right across the table from me. Hello.
Come along. It's the open song.
Randy's here. Solly's here. They're both in Toledo, Ohio. Greetings, fellas. How are you guys?
Nobody puts Randy in a corner except for Solly in his hotel room filming this. So I'm weirdly over his right shoulder, just peering.
We're doing like a little depth perspective thing we've got going on over here. I don't. It's just the circumstances of this room. That's just what it dictates.
Guys, I'm gonna say it right now. They need to renovate that courtyard.
That is a horrible mix. Are those the blinds?
I would recognize that wallpaper anywhere.
Yeah.
Come on, don't come after our friends at the courtyard.
I will say the TV sitting to my left absolutely dwarfs over the one I have in my office. So credit to them for that one.
All right, we're talking UK British Open Championship presented by Her Majesty The Queen. Solly, where do you want to start?
I want to know, the first question I want to ask all of you, as I think is becoming a new tradition on this show, is just starting off major championship week with some good feels. I'm going to start with Big Randy right to my right. What has you excited for this week?
It's a return to links golf. It's been a while. As I've aged, I'm getting old. I find myself more and more really enjoying the British Open. I'm a little worried with the mountain time zone, getting up and seeing a lot of it, but I'm going to give it a good effort. And I'm just excited to see those guys across the pond and a different test of golf, and this is Glory's last shot now. So I'm excited that it's the last major of the season.
Glory's last hole. But thank you. TC, what has you excited this week?
Oh my gosh. I mean, coffee golf for sure. That's kind of first and foremost. I think there's a lot of guys playing really good golf right now. I'm very, very excited to see. I want to see if Victor Hovland can answer the bell. I'm really excited to see Royal St. George's too. I think it's been a while. I think it was, what was the last time? Darren Clark, 2011. Yeah. So I think that was a little bit kind of, I don't know, fleeting, I guess, in my memory. So I want to see some quirk. I want to see some blind shots. I hear it's lush, but it sounds like it might get a little bit hot and kind of a heavy north wind too.
DJ Pye, what's got you excited about this week?
I think I would echo a lot of what Tron said. I don't remember a ton of the golf course from 2003, from 2011, but kind of diving back in today and reading a little bit more about it, a little bit more about the history, watching some flyovers. Golf Digest, I tweeted out, had an awesome flyover of every hole, kind of description of every hole at Royal St. George's. It just looks, I think some people have kind of said this, when we've thrown some strays at Royal St. George's, which comes from strictly a place of ignorance on my part. When you're looking forward to certain courses in the Open Rota, you're looking forward to, the old course in Carnoustie and some of those places. And Royal St. George's, I think, goes way under the radar. And some people have always kind of popped us. Now I'm seeing rightfully so for kind of looking at this one as kind of a flyover, because it does check a lot of the boxes for things that we like to see, I think, which is pure chaos and randomness and the rub of the green. And I think it's going to be a big week for that. Randy, if you weren't already excited about this week, I think you're going to, I don't know how much prep you've done, but I think you're going to really thoroughly enjoy Royal St. George's.
I do remember it being a little goofy from the last go round. So I'm excited to hear that. I have to say I've thoroughly prepped, but of course I may have missed something.
It's part of the reason why we don't remember it all that much from 2011, because the weather was just so shitty. And I remember watching the experience and the rain, the sideways rain, and all Ricky Fowler's
the rain suit.
Yeah. But I don't think it was just picking up any of the specifics on the golf course. Right?
Yeah, I think it's a couple of reasons. I think, speaking hyper personally, I mean, obviously we weren't doing this podcast, so I think that's a big part of it. We probably weren't watching 14 hours of golf per day, so that's a big part of it. And I think, I don't know, again, I think this is personal, but I think our lives have probably changed to where we prep for these things a lot more and probably build up a lot more of a knowledge base about these places. So we're kind of starting to get to parts of the rota that we haven't really been to in this life yet, if that makes sense. And so it's exciting. It almost feels like brand new from that perspective. I'm really pumped to watch it.
Let me ask you guys this: what are you guys, especially, is it a good thing that that we didn't have an Open Championship last year? Like, does that make you guys more excited for it?
Yeah, it does.
You would.
I don't think it's a good thing, but I am more excited than I would be.
I think I would be the same amount of excited.
I'm not leaning. He's doing his dumbass play the Ryder Cup every year thing, which I'm not leaning into.
I would be less excited.
I will not be participating.
Yeah.
You're a bad guy.
Solly, what are you excited about?
I am excited for the true return of links golf. I tried to get into the Scottish Open last week with, all right, here we go. We're back, links golf. And it just didn't, the style of play of that golf course did not scratch the itch of what is my favorite style of golf. It's my favorite style to watch professionals play in an era that just is becoming increasingly dull to watch, a TPC-ization of golf, just expand, hit it high, hit it far, the carry distance, TrackMan, knowing exactly how to stop your ball once it gets on the green. All of that is really hard to watch every week. And having the 1 week with the curveball where the ball hopefully rolls. I know it's soft out there, and these golf courses have a tendency to still play a little different than in the rain than TPC Deer Run does. And watching guys have to play a
Deer Run out of your mouth. Okay.
Listen, when it gets wet at TPC Deer Run, it gets a little boring. Okay, so we're not going to, hopefully it's not going to play like that. So it is this whole tournament activates something within me in terms of my connection with the game of golf. I feel like I kind of burned out on golf maybe 7-8 years ago, and going over and taking a trip to Scotland in 2015 and like playing True Links golf for the first time reactivated something that has taken off in a level that I could not have even pictured taking off. And this tournament now activates that kind of feeling and that realization within me. And that just, I get, honestly, it's not hard to see that I get pretty stressed out watching a lot of pro golf, and how just not enjoyable a lot of it is. A lot of the things about pro golf not being enjoyable to watch. And this is the 1 week where it should be an exception to that. And that has me very excited for this week.
Well, I think you're going to be stressed though with the coverage.
Yeah, I've an announcement and a decision that I've made, which is that I will be changing teams, and I will be switching over to Team Sky officially. It's gotten to the point where American television coverage, I believe, has not insignificantly affected my ability to do my job, which is to talk about the golf tournament that's being played. And it's going to be basically.
We're going to take a real quick break. We'll get right back to what you're saying in a minute here.
I believe so. It's a world feed. So NBC is not sending their cameramen to the Open Championship for whatever the first time, and I don't even know how long or if ever. Maybe I know that's COVID related and whatnot, but it's going to be a world feed, which is is it the same feed that they have at Sky? And like NBC is just going to add more commercials on top of that. Is that accurate?
I would assume
that's how it goes.
Typically, when they do a world feed, or like they can still pull down different things at the same time. Like if it's not going to be exactly the same, I think they've got different options, or they're giving them a raw feed, and then they can throw stuff in or throw stuff on top of it. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like, it's going to be pretty limited for Tommy Roy and the boys as far as, how much variety that they can offer, which in my opinion is a good thing.
Which I'm going to say, I'm not going to be the mark this time. I'm not going to wake up at 1:30 because I know they're going to front load extra in the morning. So just be prepared for it. Like, I know we're all excited for this tournament. I don't want people to go and get punched in the face if they get up super early to watch golf, because they are going to hit you so hard with commercials in the beginning. We've seen it enough. They're not even going to they're not making any announcements of it being less. So it's not going to be less. So just get ready to be punched. Save your energy. And like, honestly, I would rather DVR the first 2 hours on, several hours and catch up, once I wake up, because I'm not gonna be able to do it. So
maybe that 1:30 to 4 a.m. stretch on the cock
that might be where it's at.
That might be the golden hour right there.
Might be the true party.
Yeah.
I mean, they still run the same commercials though on the cock, and that'll, even if that's the premium, even if it's the non-premium version, which I canceled my premium immediately after the KPMG Women's PGA. But let's just run through the schedule for those that don't know it. 1:30 to 4 a.m. on Thursday and Friday morning on the Cock, otherwise known as Peacock. 4 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Golf Channel. And then very importantly, for a lot of reasons we can definitely understand, switching the last hour to Peacock 3 to 4 p.m., which is really convenient for everyone. That's Thursday and Friday. Saturday, 5 to 7 a.m. on Golf Channel, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. on NBC, and then Sunday, 4 to 7 a.m. On Golf Channel, then 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. on NBC, and then they're going to put the last 30 minutes probably on Peacock for the playoff if it gets there. So.
I'd like to announce I'm joining. I'm standing in solidarity with Solly. I too will not be fooled and be getting up early. I've made my decision.
Brave. That's so brave of you, Rady.
Yeah.
Solly, are you worried at all about the rough? I just keep hearing about the rough, and I don't normally hear about the rough in a British Open.
Just it being too thick?
It's just, it's thick, and there's a lot of it, and there's a lot of it in a lot of places.
Is it the rough or the muff?
I mean, Zinger's on the call, right?
Which I think is especially interesting considering like some of the fairways at this place. If you look at it, like it's kind of what everybody talks about with Royal St. George's is wildly undulating fairways and a lot of canted fairways, a lot of like crowned fairways that, almost kind of like fall off on either side. So it just seems like even if it is wet, it seems like a lot of balls,
some OB in play too,
running through and bouncing into that thick rough and all that stuff, which is, interesting and obviously affects some of the picks I think that we'll make. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's a wild place. And the last thing I had kind of on TV stuff, unless you guys had other stuff to bring up there, reading a lot of, we always shout this out, especially the week of majors, but Jeff Shackelford's newsletter, The Quadrilateral, has been really good this week. And he was, a point for optimism. I don't know how much of this the American broadcast will pull in, but he kind of started to allude to how much better Sky is at some of the like small things we saw during the Scottish Open, like the way that they do, showing the different hole locations on different days, showing the different like topographical maps on the greens and showing like a lot of different camera angles, a lot of different stuff that like, the American broadcast doesn't do a very good job of. So maybe we'll get a couple bonuses through this whole thing as well. I'm sure it'll be overwhelmingly, more cons than pros, but let's end on a high note here.
I'd also like to shout out the infrastructure. There's the power plant, the Dungeness power plant in the distance.
I'm very happy that you have your hopes up, DJ, and then I'm sure you'll be rewarded for that optimism coming as an American golf fan. But let's talk about the golf course, DJ. You seem to be quite schooled on it, and I'm trying to get on board with your optimism here. I like quirk. I do. I see some quirk when I look at the flyovers, and I really do feel like I'm reacquainting myself from this course from 10 years ago. I've never played it. None of us have played it. None of us have been there. And so it feels very foreign to me. And your optimism about it has me super excited, and I'm trying to get there. So help me get there. You mentioned a couple of things that are charming about it, but what have you gotten there with your flyover viewing?
So a couple things. One, a lot of the quirk I think was taken out in like the late 70s, early 80s when they kind of reintroduced it back into the Rota because it was gone from.
That's what I'm struggling with a little bit, right?
No, which of course, like I the more quirk the better. I wish that hadn't happened, but I'm sure there were a lot of reasons why it did. But like just a couple tidbits, there used to be so many blind shots and so much quirk at this place that they used to have two different sets of aiming flags for people. Like it wasn't just like, hey, aim at the white post. It used to be like, all right, if you can hit it really far, aim at the blue flag. And if you can't hit it really far, aim at the red flag. And they had like a bunch of that stuff out there, which is awesome for a place where you're deciding a major championship. I think that's very cool. But obviously a ton of weird sight lines. I think a lot of a place for, none of this is going to translate on TV really, I'm sure, but just reading guys' quotes and stuff, tough place to get acclimated to. So I don't know if that really favors more experience, less experience, one of those things, but just a weird place I feel like to get acclimated and know where you're headed. I mentioned the fairways fairly crowned, and I think, you're just going to have to be somebody who's going to deal with a lot of really bad bounces, which I think we can get to when we get into kind of some of our picks and betting. But Jon Rahm, obviously the overwhelming favorite. I'm having just a hair of a hard time squaring like quirkiest course in the Rota. Like, get ready for a shitload of bad breaks with
Perspective.
with John Rahm, like being super level the whole time. But that's, we'll see.
You gotta give a shout out to the Himalayas bunker on 4.
Of course. A lot of just like massive. They use the dunes in a very cool way, and I think one of the ways, and again, I haven't seen it in person, but from everything I can tell, it seems like a lot of the dunes are used in a way to kind of like challenge how much of a carry you want to bring in, and there's a ton of forced carries in that. It's picking your angle and like how much you want to cut off. It's not forced carries like can you hit it over the water or not, but it's forced carries and like how much of this dune can you take on. And if you carry it over this bunker, I feel it might be the 4th hole where you have like where they call it the Elysian Fields or something where it's just like the dead flat stretch. It's like that feels like a perfect example of this place. And so other than that, you've also got all 4 of the par 3s playing different directions, which is really cool, especially at a place where the wind is so, wild. It's always fun to see that.
The Maiden looks awesome. Number 6, I think.
The Maiden looks awesome. Used to be a famously like, almost like the Dell, I think, at Lahinch, where you had to hit it over this crazy, you'll see on the 6th hole, this par 3, crazy high mound to the left of the green. I think the hole actually used to play over that massive mound. Now it's just like a fairly decorative mound, but kind of a cool hole nonetheless. 12th hole looks really cool.
Looks awesome.
Short 4, I think it's probably 320, 330, something like that. But it looks like if you hit driver, there's just so much bad stuff that can happen. But if you're hitting a fairway iron, like that's where you really see the fairway kind of cant away from you. And it just even makes like just a hard shot no matter what you want to do. 14 is the par 5. You probably remember the best from 2011 with the OB running up the right and the Suez Canal running across the fairway. That's where Dustin Johnson blew it out to the right.
They should get like
blew it out to sea.
Blew it out to sea. OB, never to vaporize, never to be seen again.
They should get something stuck in that canal this year.
They should. That would be a touching tribute.
That's going to be the race. If somebody hits it in that, the race to making that joke is going to be unlike anything I've ever seen before.
You might want to save that in your drafts. No. And then 18 just looks like a complete, like super proper ball busting finish. Up and over Duncan's Hollow, not to be confused with Duncan's Toy Chest. I think the Walter Hagen quote, you'll probably see this in a bunch of spots, but he called the first 9 tremendous fun and not very good golf. And then the back 9 is tremendous golf and no fun at all, which is like, I think kind of sums up why I think this place is clicking with me so hard, which is, Solid, we might differ on this and that's totally fine. But I think it's a decision almost going into the week, a decision to be made on like, do you want to see, do you want to see the proper skill get rewarded on every single shot and see how close guys can push it to the line and the ball should react exactly the way the ball should react? Or do you want to just see like, man, this is going to be a chaotic 72 hole event. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs and it might be some luck involved. There will be some luck involved and like who's going to persevere and take the title. I think the second, just because we have so much of the first, I think the second is like what makes me love the British Open.
It's a psychological examination out of, but more about versatility and flexibility and adaptability versus just straight perseverance with like
lots of questions being asked.
So many.
I'm in camp 2 as well, though, Deej. I mean, that's this golf tournament is defined by that, right? There's no such thing as a perfect links in terms of perfect bounces, perfect test. We get, like you said, we get plenty of that. I'm way in on that. I think it's just, if we're looking, I watched a lot of the 03 British, which was at St. George's, the Ben Curtis one. That was on Golf Channel a couple weeks ago. And watched a lot of that, and it was so baked out, so firm. Guys were hitting 6 irons from 250 yards on that maiden hole. And that was like, it activated everything I need out of a links watching experience. And I don't think we're going to get that this week. So that's just why my hesitation is slightly muted. Yet at the same time, like, if I had to, I guess where I'm coming from on that is I feel like there is an ounce of St. George's being like the London Open Championship, like the best, the closest links course to London. That's probably not, that's capable of hosting the Open. And that being a large part, if not, I don't want to say the only reason, but a large part of why the Open goes there is the reason why I'm like not, if we were at Carnoustie or St. Andrews or whatever, I would be like running through a wall right now. So it's still exciting.
You were very activated.
This thing does a lot. This tournament senses, man.
Activated, I mean,
He's fully activated.
you're making me miss the cat a little bit.
And the brands. Just
Yeah.
a full activation.
We're always missing the cat.
I did. I'm sure I'm going to get this wrong, but do you know why it's called Royal St. George's?
I think I forget.
Or why it's named after St. George, I should say. It's
It
because
was in the video, but I forget.
they wanted it to rival St. Andrews. And I think St. George is the patron saint of England, I want to say, or something like that. And so I thought that to your point,
it's also Randy's middle name.
I think that was the second reason. They mentioned that as well. I think that was also in the video. But to your point on like, I think that was the goal, was to make it kind of England's answer to St. Andrews, which is just kind of a fun thing. But the other thing, where I'll kind of meet your skepticism of this week is I don't know what technology is going to do to it either. I don't know what like technology, like another 10 years of technology and a wet golf course like could make for, a fairly boring rendition of this golf course as well. So
If we don't get wind.
right.
The wind's supposed to be a factor though. I think the forecast is calling for some decent wind. I also want to give a shout out to the 15th hole. That one looks like 496 and the traps to the right of the fairway are called the Marmalades.
That's the one that goes right back out to sea,
In
right?
an apparent reference to Rex and Lister Hartley, members of the famous jam making family.
True jam fam.
And then the approach to the green, just like there's a cross bunker up on the right, and it just looks like a wild, like, front part of that green where you're coming in from 200 yards plus.
I think
shit.
I think that was the part of the flyover video where I'm picturing myself standing on that tee with like a massive whipping crosswind and just nothing to aim at, just perfect wide open. I'm like, oh my God, that my tee shot might move 150 yards left to right on that hole. Like it's just, I would just get beat the fuck up on a hole like that.
JJ Mickey 11 is asking, is Royal St. George's more likely to have a glass slipper winner like Ben Curtis or Darren Clark, or do you see a top dog killer winning? We may have already touched on that, but Randy, I'd like your thoughts on it.
I hope it's a glass slipper. All my picks are a little bit down the odds board. So I'm
the thing I was going to mention was like, it's every one of these major shows we go into saying like, hey man, unless you're one of the top 10 players in the world, like, good luck. I don't really know what to tell you. And that's been pretty true when you look at the major winners, right? I mean, it's Brooks and Rahm and Dustin and Hideki and like these, like it's been a lot of fucking horses. Like the most obscure major winner we've gotten is Gary Woodland, who's like a premier ball striker.
Shane Lowry, maybe.
Shane Lowry. But I more mean like non-open championship, I should say. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Well, that's still a horse.
But I think there's this distinct.
He's a stud now.
But the point being, I think this is the one week where it's like, hey, I'm not saying that on this week. Like truly, I think those guys still have a leg up, of course, but more guys have a chance.
There's a distinct group of guys that I think they're still thoroughbreds or they're still heavyweights, but they're not necessarily like you guys are gonna shit all over me, a Fleetwood or a Hatton or somebody like that.
Leash.
A Leash. A Neiman, somebody like that.
Yeah.
You can, Cam Smith, like a guy that's a top 50 bona fide player in the world, but hasn't broken through in the major yet,
I haven't talked. We'll get the picks here shortly, but actually probably not that short. We got a lot to talk about still, but I haven't talked myself into going too far down the board though. I still think over 4 days the cream rises, and I mean you can get some screwy stuff in there, but it hasn't changed like who I has been playing good coming in and who I like to just like consistently hit solid shots. Like these guys, a lot is made out of the lack of creativity of the American players, and then a lot of top pros like. I feel like that is a really overblown thing. Like the pros are so incredibly good at showing up at a place and in 3 days, knowing where to hit it, knowing where not to hit it on the golf course, learning how to hit it off a different turf, putt it on a different turf, chip it off a different turf, learn different winds.
Picture like the President's Cup at Royal Melbourne. Like we got to see that with our own eyes over 3 days of just like the guys on Friday, or I guess the President's Cup's 4 days, but the guys on Thursday are like, whoa, he doesn't know how to hit that shot. And by Sunday, they're a mile ahead, because they like, you just watch them figure it out in real time. And yeah, I'm with you.
So like, I see where you're at with the Rom, temper kind of thing, being a weird, funky place like that. But I just like keep picturing him hitting that dead straight ball that he hits, and the odds are he's almost odds on to win the tournament. I'm sure we'll hear that at some point this week. But I don't know. I still like the horses in this in some way. But before we do get to picks, when we're not quite ready to get there, of course, our friends at the DraftKings Sportsbook they're my favorite sportsbook. They're also America's top-rated sportsbook. I love using it. Easy to navigate. Plenty of instructions for new bettors. It's got limitless ways to get on the action. All of us here at No Laying Up, of course, love doing the DraftKings Sportsbook, and we love doing the Championship Series. That has become my new addicting thing on this app is doing the. I hate being DFS guy, I really do, but I'm starting to become that guy. I'm close to sending some messages to guys that miss cuts just to let them know how upset I am.
Sally, I spent 3 hours on this shit this afternoon, cashing in all sorts of tickets on there. It's fun.
So if you listen to this incredible offer on the DraftKings Sportsbook, you can place a pre-tournament wager of $1 on any golf outcome to be eligible to cash $50 in free credits if any player makes a birdie. That's 50-1 odds on any golfer making a birdie during this weekend's tournament. 50-1 odds is an offer that does not come around often, so sign up for the DraftKings Sportsbook app now to get in on all the action. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. You can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. So download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code NLU when you sign up to turn $1 into $50 in free credits if any golfer makes a birdie this weekend. That's code NLU to turn $1 into $50 in free credits. For a limited time, only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Winning paid out in site credits. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or in Indiana 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
1,001 if you pick a golfer who's not going to make a birdie.
That would be unbelievable.
I'm still pissed about Mav McNeely making 18 straight pars.
That was tough. That was
among the rounds of the year.
So let's go through some of the top guns here. I'll just read off the top 15 guys on the odds sheet. Rahm is plus 800. For those that don't like American odds, that's 8-1. Brooks Koepka plus 1,800. Xander plus 1,800. Rory plus 19. Spieth plus 1,900. JT plus 2050. DJ plus 2250. All the way at 7th on the board. Hovland plus 2,500. Louis Oosthuizen plus 2,800. Cantlay, Fitz, and Reed are all plus 3,000. Bryson, Hatton, and Morikawa all plus 3,500. Anything stick out to you guys among those top 15 on there? Anything surprising?
I think Dustin on
world number one.
He's
anointed.
He's clearly playing great. He just moved back to world number one. No, I'm sure I'll happily talk about this with my picks or spoil it now. But I got a pick for him to win just because when was the last time you saw him seventh on the odds sheet, right? And a guy who was very close to winning here last time. A guy who is super I know it's a cliche, but very unflappable. A lot of bad bounces don't really seem to bother him. But I've also got to plan him to miss the cut because I truly don't know what we're going to see. So, but
are you modeling your picks off of Neil now? This is not a good thing.
It's Ches Fest, man. I haven't taken my wristband off from Ches Fest.
I'm fascinated to see where Neil goes from Ches Fest.
True. See how long some of that takes to exit his system.
No, I think for me, it's the first thing that sticks out is Rory at plus 1,900. He's clearly not going to win. So I'll just get out ahead of it. That's my pick not to win this week.
You know who Rory's 30th in the Golf Week staggering rankings right now, which is as we've mentioned before, the head-to-head rankings.
It's not good.
That's really bad. Yeah. Really, really bad. Yeah, I think he's dropped out of the top 10 in the world. It's just,
I think it's insulting that Spieth is the same odds as Rory. You know what? Hovland jumps out at me at plus 2,500, 25-1. I don't know why. He's just really fucking good.
He's one of those guys. I don't know the right way to say this without sounding like an idiot, but he's one of those guys that is. Everybody would answer yes to the question, is he going to win a major or not? Right? Everybody would say, oh yeah, he's definitely going to win one, and it's just a matter of picking what the one is.
I think he wins one of the next 6 to 8 majors, and I don't want to be on the outside looking in. Yeah. The guy that I never know what to do with is Louis. Especially in
I wonder if he's going to win. I'll tell you what you do. Don't bet him to win.
Thanks.
I'm no longer against spoiling a pick. I'm no longer falling for not picking Louis. Just like, why would you not pick Louis and Brooks? Like, do you think they're going to like both miss the top 10? What are the chances of that happening?
So I was buying GameStop at 800 right now.
My Hovland thing
the last 3 days
is like incredibly talented player. The ratings love him. The stats love him. Ton of top finishes. He just had God. This is going to get flipped on me so hard for the Finau stuff. I picked him to win a lot, and he doesn't have like any big wins. He's got 2 wins. He just like has
Puerto Rico. You can't overestimate what a big win Puerto Rico is.
I'm sure. I know you can't, but like it just feels like he's always around in these, and he hasn't like won one of them. And I know he's incredibly young. It just
let me tell you about probability and all this stuff. Like he really should. It's better if he doesn't win, right? Like it's more important if he doesn't win.
He's still incredible at golf, which is what you won't admit about Finau.
No, we say it all the time.
He's so like he should win. He's incredible at golf.
So
I think you're describing Xander to me.
Xander's
he's
up
almost European Xander when you put it out like that.
Xander's won a WGC at least.
Well, those are
allegedly.
limited field. I don't consider those.
The Tour Championship also limited field.
I don't put that much stock in WGCs personally.
Why don't we do let's do who won't win then? I mean, we have one we have one pick in. I think it's a pretty safe one there, if I may say. But DJ, who's not going to win?
I always forget that we're going to do this game, so then I always end up just pulling something out of my hat.
Rainey will pick like 5 guys. We can throw it to him first. Who's not going to win?
Well, Ricky and Finau for sure won't win.
And will you be brave enough to add Louis to the autos?
For sure. Louis won't win. I was going to say no way Rahm wins. He's not going to win. I mean, I would take 10 of these guys, no problem. Cantlay, never going to win. I don't think DJ is going to win this week. Xander never wins anything. He's not going to win. Koepka's too hurt. Nope. Hatton, he never wins anything. Bryson can't deal with the funkiness. He's not going to win.
So good. I think he's undervalued at 3,500.
Is that Fitz? Sorry, Fitz. I like you. You never win. So take all of those people.
Fitzpatrick, I called your name, right?
Yeah.
I'll say Brooks. You mentioned Brooks on there. That's just, what have we seen from him at the majors, right? I'm sure that won't come back to bite me at all, but
I'm sure he won't take that personally. I'll join UTC and be very safe. I've already lost one of these, so it doesn't really matter anymore. But I'll say Rory's not going to win. I'm kind of surprised to see him at plus 1900.
Seems like a good place for him to be in the mix and then be undone by like just a horrible break.
And then he makes 8 birdies on Saturday or
Right.
Sunday and comes back in and shoots like he's like T7.
Yeah.
Fools everything.
Here's an interesting problem. I'd almost rather take. I would lay. Essentially, what's Victor there? 25. I kind of like Victor. You can take everybody
Or you
with
just
better odds than Victor, and I'll take the field below him.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
Including Spieth? I thought you loved Spieth.
Except for Spieth's gonna win. So except for Spieth, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, let's do our picks now. Let's do our picks.
Let's do it.
Let's plow right through it. Let's start with who's in last place. Is it Randy?
Big. Yeah.
Sorry,
Was that rhetorical?
Yeah. Just wild guess here.
Well, you banked last week, right?
Yeah, 2 winners, and I still lost money.
Two game hitting streak going here for Mr. Big.
I know. Okay, got some big bets this week.
For those that don't know, we do these picks every week, and we do 100 nuggets every week. But for major weeks, we do 200 nuggets. So you got a lot to play with here.
Okay, I'm chopping 200 divided by 5, so I'm putting 40 nuggies on each of these. All right. Let's start. I said yesterday, or I said Sunday night, one of the hottest players in the world. Give me Richard Bland to top 30. That's plus 400, 40 nuggies on that.
Dude, that's a great bet.
That's a fantastic play.
Yeah.
And then I got 4 winners, baby. One of these horses got to hit. Let's start at the best odds. Victor. I show him on the app at plus 3,000. Put 40 nuggies on that. Webb Simpson plus 5,500. played really well here in 2011. I know
He's
that's only
playing
10
like
years ago.
absolute ass right now,
I know.
Randy.
God, talk about a guy who just is unflappable. We'll just make the best of any situation. And then two guys at plus 8,000. Mickelson, I genuinely like Mickelson to win here.
Really?
Yeah,
Phil?
yeah, Phil.
Premium on driving accuracy.
And then Poulter at plus 8,000.
I can get down with Poulter.
I think one of those guys is going to win it.
I was trying to get down with Poulter. The data golf guys hated him this week. Like, absolutely hated him.
I think St. George is where you tell the nerds to beat it. This is chaos, baby. Throw the models out.
All right, Randy, good stuff, particularly the Richard Bland thing. Webb Simpson could be an ultimate buy low pick. Who knows? Love that too. Let's send it over to Neil, see what the merch stars got cooked up this week.
All right, folks. After a very, very, very successful Chess Fest, I had to rebalance my serotonin levels, get back to homeostasis. The sea breeze is bringing me back. Actually was able to hang out with some friends of the beluga, some elephant seals. You can see one of the seals hanging out there. You know what they do? Once a year, they molt. You know what molting is? Molting is shedding. They're shedding their skin. And I'm going to shed some bad juju from the first half of this year. From Chess Fest moving forward, good vibes only, baby. We've got 5 plays this week. That's right, 5. 40 nuggies each on these. Louis Oosthuizen, top 5, plus 500. Victor Hovland to win, plus 2,500. Lord Tyrrell Hatton, plus 3,500 to win. Jordan Spieth, top 10, plus 200. Pouch Dodge, maybe, but I bet Solly's on that too. And of course, Xander Schauffele, plus 1,800 to win. Xander's got to get it done. Doesn't feel like anyone's talking about him. He's my pick to win it. There you have it. Enjoy the Open, presented by Her Majesty The Queen.
Thank you, Neil. As always, that brings us to yours truly, I believe. I'm in the pouch this week. First time in the pouch for a while, if I do say so myself. I drew have to get coffee for the man in lead at their coffee shop of choice. Obviously, we'll not be paying that off right now. I would imagine the man in the lead would probably prefer a very early coffee. This is a tough week to.
You should get him a McDonald's coffee at like 2 a.m. for the cock.
It's possible. So you text me and I'll be there, man. Happy to fulfill that one. All right, picks this week. I already mentioned Dustin to win. 6 people with shorter odds. That's wild. Let's go 40 nuggets there. Kind of anticlimactic. I know we predicted this many, many months ago, but Jordan Spieth will win. So of course, got to hide some money there. Plus 1,900 was what I had. We'll see what the final odds shake out at. But another 40 nuggets there. As I mentioned, I'm going to hedge because I have no idea what we're going to get from Dustin Johnson. So I also, you can get him to miss the cut plus 320. He has not made the last 2 cuts. Is that right? Or did he make the cut at the US Open?
He did make it at the US Open.
He missed at least 2 cuts at major
PGA and the Masters.
Yeah, not good. So 30 nuggets there to miss the cut. Why not? A couple of just kind of heart play matchups here. Streelman over Keegan. I think Streelman's one of those guys just drives it straight. It's been played like sneaky well at the last couple majors. Randy, I'm with you. Poulter over Sergio. Can't measure heart, Randy. I think we're going to see a lot of good stuff from Poulter. And then Brian Harmon over Harris English. I know Harris is flushing it. He's like 12th ranked player in the world right now, which is wild. But just a total rant. That was kind of a Costanza. Honestly, was like, I know everything says Harris over Brian Harmon, but I'm just going to do the opposite. So that all parlays out to plus 712.
But besides flushing it, Harris's big home game model loves him. Back in England.
Damn it.
Yeah. So stupid. I couldn't get any action on Ken Duke this week, unfortunately, speaking of home game. And then I'm between the last 2. It's a total coin flip here. But I'm going to, just because this is really what I would rather root for. Big shot Bob McIntyre, top 10. No, he finished T6, I think, at the Open in 2019.
Man after my heart.
Playing really nice. Obviously comfortable playing links golf. He's plus 650 for a top 10. So 30 nuggets there. I was also thinking Stuart Sink top 20. I think he's going to be a factor this week.
Oh, God.
I know.
What's his top 20 odds?
Top 20. He's plus 350 for a top 20. Just hits it straight. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes. I don't know.
I'm surprised he didn't sniff around that Lucas Glover top 20.
I thought about it. I thought about that too. I know.
No, I did too.
Not enough picks.
Guys, if you want to add, can we add more picks?
To everybody but you, yes.
All right, TC, what do you got?
Oh, so many different directions.
Of course.
I thought about Daniel Berger. I thought about
cut him off, Deej. Come on.
No, this is the longer show. I can pontificate a little bit. Thought about Molinari, but he missed the cut at Renaissance. Francesco, plus 650. He'd been showing signs of form, and then he missed the cut at the Scottish Open last week. Plus 650 for a top 20. I'm not going there though. First play, the Bullet.
Hell yeah.
Top 40.
Wow.
Plus 275. Throwing 20 nuggets at that.
It's Marcus Armitage, of course, for the people who don't know.
Bullet's back. Home game models. He's a links specialist.
I just hope he's not gutted because of the lads' loss.
I know.
Next up, we're going with Tyrrell. Plus 3,000 for 30 nuggets on that one.
That's to win.
That's to win.
Okay.
I've got the links master himself, Stinky Jordan. Plus 1,900.
The links master is Jord, though, just to be clear.
Okay. Regardless, I have him plus 1,900 for. We are going to go 40 nuggets at that one.
I'll see you there.
We are going Big Leash plus 1,100, 90 nuggets for top 5. And then we're going Hovland plus 2,500 for 20 nuggets.
All right. Very interesting stuff.
All right. Like I said, I'm not getting caught out anymore on Brooks. He paid off very well for me at the U.S. Open. 75 nuggets at plus 188 for a Brooks top 10. T4 at Portrush has 2 other top 10s at the Open Championship. I feel like he is just that feels wonderful.
Brave pick.
I'm
there,
out
Solly.
here. Louis Oosthuizen's also got a top 10. He's plus 225. I'm doing 45 more nuggets on that.
That's all he's buying at the top. You're exactly right, DJ.
Is there any golfers you can bet on that will have a good time? Minus 250.
How about this? No. There will be no comments on any odds I select after what you guys did last week while I was out. So
I lost all those bets. Also,
I know.
Solly just bought a bunch of DD shares before the Chinese made him delist him.
I'm buying T-bills over here. I'm also covering you guys with Spieth. I got plus him to win at plus 1,900, 30 nuggets on that. That's just to cover my exposure there because I knew pretty much everyone's going to have that play. I'm going Westy. I'm gonna fall into this. I'm gonna hurt. I'm gonna feel the pain for a top 10 plus 450. 30 little nuggets on that one. Just feel like he could. I don't think he's gonna make enough putts to win, but it feels like a Westy kind of golf course. And then I rarely do this, but I'm feeling the need for a
Monty for your last one with Louis and Westy in the fold.
I'm doing a parlay, a matchup parlay.
Must be nice.
Stringers talking parlay. Brooks is going to beat Rory. That one's -1. I don't need to do all the odds on this because it comes out to plus. It's going to come out to plus 900, plus 911, I believe. But Koepka is going to beat Rory. Poulter is going to beat Sergio. Spieth is going to beat Scotty Scheffler, and Rahm is going to beat Xander. Parlaying all 4 of those, 20 nuggets plus 911.
Good stuff. I like that too.
I like that. Guys, I got a couple hunches that aren't in my picks, but I just want to get them out there.
Please.
I think P's going to play well.
I know, I do too.
I didn't love him at 30-1, but I think P's going to play well. I think Finau's going to play well.
Yeah,
What makes you think Finau's going to play well?
I think
TC, if I don't think Finau's going to play well, he's probably not going to play well.
He's super stinky, but I think he's coming in with low expectations, and he's got some links experience. I think Daniel Berger plays well. I have no idea why. And then I think Fleetwood plays well. I think Fleetwood could win this. I think Cam Smith could win this. I think Brandon Grace could top 5 here. lot of different ways we can
A
go.
lot of different ways. Well, TC, it sounds like you don't have a great, maybe not a great model you're trusting there.
I think Sam Burns could play well. There's just so many guys that could play well. I'm limited to 5 picks, which is bullshit.
We learned a little bit about models today from our guy, Whistles Go Woo. Much like we did at the U.S. Open, this guy, he literally made $2.5 million playing fantasy sports in one day. That was for football, but he also has all kinds of algorithms and all kinds of models he uses. He's basically a data professor, PhD who just gets deep in people's asses in daily fantasy. So we had a chance to talk to Mr. Whistles Go Woo about his process. Let's roll that around.
Total shot of life.
All right, taking a quick break from our British Open preview to bring you a bona fide fantasy sports champion. You don't get to say this about a lot of people, someone who's won legitimately 7 figures in one day playing fantasy sports. Mr. You fill me in on the name. Whistles Go Woo.
Whistles Go Woo!
Of course, an homage to a big friend of ours, Bub Rub, all the early days of viral videos on the internet. And of course, Little Sis. We'd be remiss if we didn't mention Little Sis as well. David, how are you, man? What's going on?
Good. All is well. Yeah. I mean, all is well. Excited about the Open coming this week, and all the golf tournaments that happen over the summer. That's always fun. All is well.
Good. Well, let's jump right in. So you are a multi-sport fantasy player, but you made your literal bones playing fantasy football. You of course won the $2.5 million fantasy football contest. Let's start there. What's it like as a fantasy sports player to one day not have $2.5 million and then the next day have $2.5 million? What was that feeling like?
Pretty amazing. I mean, us daily players, we are kind of in the grind every day, and you kind of just hope to hit this one big one every year, right? And it just so happened on the biggest prize of the year, at least from what I understand, right? And it was a pretty amazing experience. I had about 8 of the tickets going in, right? There's a total of 200 tickets you could have had. I had 8 of the tickets, so 8 different entries in the competition, and luckily that was the day that my entries hit.
Unreal. I think I want to apologize on behalf of my colleague here who said it was just one day of work, right? It was a lifetime of work leading up to that. What do your models look like? Like are you a fly by the seat of your pants guy? Are you a very, just stick to the models and you're super disciplined? Like kind of walk us through your process.
Yeah, so I think I do a lot of analytics. I do a lot of consulting also for companies, and I also do daily fantasy sports. And I think any proper application of a model that you might build has got to use some type of domain knowledge, right? So I do stick with my model always, but baked into it is, of course, some knowledge about the sport, right? And whether it be football, basketball, golf, or whatever it is. So it's a trust in the model. Always go with the process, because otherwise you're going to look at it and say, why didn't I pick this one, or why didn't I pick this one? You have to have some process, go with it, whatever that might be. And then I try to stick with it as much as possible.
Well, you alluded to it a little bit and kind of covered in a lot of the press about your winning was what you do for a living. I'm wondering if you could walk people through that and how that plays a role in your fantasy sports.
Yeah, so growing up, I just loved math. And then, I finished my college degree, and then they're like, well, maybe you should get a master's. I was like, all right. Then I finished the master's. They were like, maybe you should get a PhD. I was like, all right. Then I got a PhD. They were like, maybe you should be a professor. I was like, sure, why not? And I just kind of kept that momentum going. But it was great, right? I learned all about analytics along the way. I was able to, do it both in consulting and then also teach it to the students, and then and of course apply it to daily fantasy sports. And actually my class this summer, our final exam was to play against me in daily fantasy sports. So we played a basketball during the NBA playoffs. I actually came in 3rd place out of 8 teams. So I think those 2 student groups probably have a great story to tell future employers.
Yeah, that's the dream, when the student becomes the master, right? That means you're doing your job.
There you go.
Are you Professor Wu?
No, not yet. But I think once we're back in person, I wouldn't be surprised if people start calling me that. We'll see. Yeah.
All right. Well, talk to me a little bit about the difference between, fantasy sports in general and fantasy golf, because we're theoretically focused on golf. And I'm just curious, golf to me from the outside, I don't watch a ton of other sports, but it seems like the hardest thing to bet on. I'm wondering if you can either confirm or deny that.
Sure. So I'll tell you, a lot of the sports, especially team-based sports, right? You've got some correlation or, pairs of people that you might want to put together. take, for example, a quarterback and a wide receiver in football or something like that, right? Of course, wide receiver scores a touchdown, quarterback's also going to get a touchdown. In golf, it's a bit different, right? Because golf, you've got individual guys playing against themselves. But there is some type of relationship between what one golfer might score and the other, not because they're going to have different golf games, but because they're going to have different DraftKings days. Take the two favorites in the tournament. I don't know, you take Rahm and whoever to this weekend, right? Only one of them can possibly come in first. So if one of them gets the placement points, the other person can't get those placement points. So there is a slight negative correlation between actually what the points are. So I think it is interesting. Most of it is individual, of course. And so you try to get the best projection model you can and then just try to build from there. But it is tough, right? I mean, golf is tough because of the individual nature of everybody. But still, I think, there are some models that can be applied and some things that you can think about because ultimately you have to pick 6 people, right? And have to stay under the salary cap. You have to find some value somewhere, right? At least someone that you think might make the cut or whatever.
Are you like a bottom of the barrel plus a few superstars guy, or do you layer it all the way through?
I layer it all the way through, right? I mean, I was on a podcast for some other podcast at some point, and they asked me, like, are there certain people that you just cut out automatically? And I put, I don't like shrink the field, right? Of course, naturally the model's going to knock some people out, right? Those at the bottom of the barrel, but there, my models, they spread it around, right? And I think that's something that I try to do to the best that I can.
How do you do for a tournament like the Open Championship where it rotates? It hasn't been to Royal St. George in
10 years.
10 years, yeah. How do you what are you feeding into your models in that instance where, are you relying upon some analysis and then finding a comparable course or?
Yeah, so I try to really just focus in on each golfer and what they do on each type of hole, right? I mean, some golfers have a more propensity for birding on par 4s versus, birding on a par 5 or whatever the case may be in comparison to the field, right? So I try to take that into account and then, of course, look at each hole, right? And I think you can, you can only do so much with analytics, right? But if a hole goes this way or that way, you can kind of look at what golfers have done in previous holes like that and then build some simulation model around.
That's really interesting. It's also kind of fascinating for a place like Royal St. George's, who knows how it's going to play this week, but by all accounts is one of the more quirky golf courses in the world. It seems like chance gets even more ramped up there. I'm wondering if you have, for this week specifically, is there something that almost like takes precedent or a certain lever that gets pulled more than it would other weeks? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I understand. I don't think there's really anything that I'm considering differently from what I would play typically. It is interesting, right? Some courses, me and my buddies would call the easy courses Mickey Mouse courses and the other courses real courses, right? So it is a little different when, the field, you think someone's going to win with a -20 versus when you think just like a -5 might be the best score, right? And so that's a bit different, right? Because it's hard for someone to catch up if they make one mistake or whatever. So that built into it, but that's not explicitly put into the model for me. That's just thing that it kind of learns along the way.
With your model, do you factor in weather?
No, not too much, which is probably a mistake and something that I should be doing. So yes, that's a good point. It's in the backlog, right? Tickets that I have to get to at some point.
How's your season going so far?
It's good. I had some really big misses, unfortunately, but I had a good one. I mean, last weekend I came in second in a decent sized tournament. I had Glover in one of my lineups in the John Deere Classic, and so that one obviously rose pretty well. Still didn't come in first, but close. I've come in second place in pretty high cost competitions. I think 3 or 4 times out of about 14 tournaments I've played. So, and then in DraftKings, it's really top heavy, right? First place gets such a larger prize than second place. So I'm hoping one of these second places turn into a first place sometime soon. And hopefully this weekend, considering the large prizes on DraftKings.
Well, I know it's low hanging fruit, of course. I don't know how much of your info is proprietary, but any good sleepers, anybody should be looking out for?
Any sleepers are the ones that I'm going to be picking, right? So I think everybody has their own choices, I think. But as I told you, I really do try to spread it around, I think, more than most. Some other guys I can tell, right? They try to build like a core of players and then move around that. I do a little more of a spread game, but it depends on the tournament and everything else.
I like this. A lot of different ways you could go.
Of course, a lot of ways I could go. Last thing for me, any notorious, like what stands out to you as your greatest golf achievements from a picks perspective? Anything that leaps out?
Yeah, so I picked whatchamacallit, was it Westwood back when it was like him and Thomas, I think, were playing for like the top prize, and so I had him in one of my lineups. Just missed first place on that one, but it is what it is, right?
You'll look back fondly upon that one.
That's right.
Sure I will.
So,
All right. Well, thank you so much. Best of luck this week. Looking forward to digging into our own models, seeing what we come across, and hopefully we'll see you on the top of the leaderboard.
I feel wholly inadequate now.
No, that's exactly how I feel.
So just keep trying. All right, guys. It was great catching up with you, and thanks for inviting me on the show.
You got it.
Thank you. Woo woo.
Talk to you later.
All right. Thank you to Whistles Go Woo. Thank you to Bub Rub. Thank you to Lil Sis. All of them. Solly, what else we got to cover before we get out of here?
Well, Tyler Munson7 sent a great question in. What venue should be kicked out of the Rota? Any reasons acceptable? And I just wanted to go round table on that one to see what. And I know what Randy's going to say, and I want him to lead it off, and because I want people to get really upset about it. But let's do that. What venue should be kicked out?
The old course.
Yeah,
It's too short. It's outdated. Get it out of there. It stinks. Can't play for me.
You're an idiot. I mean, truly.
I hate seeing them desecrate it.
I'm going
We
Troon.
gotta protect it.
Troon's ugly as shit.
That was gonna be my answer, but not an answer I would like ride for or justify. Just because
They're all good.
I know the least amount about Troon probably.
Troon is probably, there's no Tory on the Rota, I think, right? There's not like a course that so desperately needs kicked out, but Lytham kind of either being out of the Rota or falling by the wayside I would definitely replace something in there to keep Lytham in there, because I think it's a fantastic golf course.
Love Lytham.
It's probably Troon. I think that's a good answer, but at the same time, an event in Western Scotland makes a ton of sense. And I doubt that they're going to do Turnberry while it's still under its current ownership. So if it means bringing golf to the west coast of Scotland, I'm in on that, because there's plenty of representation between Liverpool and Birkdale, on the northwest coast of England. That's probably a reason, infrastructure being the main one, why Lytham is probably out of the Rota. So long-winded answer, say Troon's probably the answer, but honestly, I would think St. George's would be probably my second vote, but I reserve the right to change that after this week. I need some fresh memories of it and a new experience with it. And I'm coming in with an open mind. I'm not coming in with a St. George's stinks in any way. So don't even try.
I'm glad nobody said Hoylake.
Yeah.
Hoylake's typically gets shit on a little bit.
I feel like the Cats cemented Hoylake's.
I like Hoylake.
Yeah.
Hoylake's cool, and they've done some changes to some of the last few holes. I think that little par 3. They redid that. It looks fantastic. So we'll have plenty of links golf discussion as the week goes along. But I'm ready for the Open Championship, the UK British Open, presented by Her Majesty, of course, as it's more widely known. But go ahead, Deej.
I was just gonna say, who wins? Pick one name, no odds, no anything. Gun to your head. Who wins this week?
Spieth.
I say Spieth.
Oh my God.
This can't go right.
Gosh, I'm gonna say I didn't pick him in my picks. I'm gonna say Tommy Fleetwood.
I thought he was going to give us 5 names. I really thought he was going to.
I'd also like to mention I've got Rahm at plus 1200 in my season-long plays to win the British at 2020.
As long as you're throwing stuff out, I think the Schlong's going to play well this week.
The
You think
Schlong?
All right. We got to start wrapping.
Who's your guy?
I think Spieth has been destined to win this since the start of time. He's never played St. George's, right?
Never has. Never has played an Open here. Correct. So.
Yeah.
All right, lads. Thank you. This has been a lot of fun. I'm truly amped. Major championship season is going to be over here in a few days.
For the men.
Gosh, thanks
Don't
for
want
making
you
me look
catching
horrible.
strays.
Carnoustie for the women this year is going to be that. I might be looking forward to that more so than I even am this Open. So,
Randy, do you consider the Evian a major?
No.
Depends who wins.
No one's like, people are skipping it. It's not a major if players are skipping it. That's not a.
I'll reserve right. If I like the winner,
Yeah, it's true. I'll ride with you on that. But
Probably players are skipping this one. Sungjae.
Ryan Moore, Kevin Na.
we didn't talk about that at
Kenny
all.
Perry.
The withdrawals and does it put an asterisk on this week at all? I would say absolutely not.
Who are the best players that aren't there? Bubba and Hideki.
Hideki and Bubba was
Reverse
never
order.
gonna do anything there. Yeah.
Bubba's playing well.
This is a Bubba golf course.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think Bubba could have been a nice play.
Ted Scott was. By the way, I want to give a shout out to Ted Scott. I follow him on Instagram. he is a shot of life on Instagram. He is awesome. His videos, his Sunday thing, and all. I could not be more in on Ted Scott.
Did not see the show ending that way.
I can't tell if this is a bit.
No, I swear to God, it's awesome. Give him a follow, Ted Scott. I think on Insta. And then
just real quick. This is a Bubba golf course. All right, he finished T30 here in 2011. Has never finished inside the top 20 in an Open Championship. All right, so where are you getting this? Huh? Where's the Bubba?
How many times has he finished T30 or better in an Open Championship?
Yeah, it's got to be his best finish at the Open, right?
No, he had T23 in 2012.
Okay, so this is his second best finish.
So we rest our case.
Bubba course.
I think with the road, I think they should let any defending champion at that course play if they want. Like, I think Clark or Curtis should be able to play.
From the tees they won at.
Exactly. That was my commissioner for a day thing. Once you win at a course, you're cemented to play those tees forever. That's more of a Masters thing, but we can talk about that on the Masters.
Also, I got another recommendation beyond Ted Scott, which was dead serious, by the way. There was a great article in Golf Digest in their preview from John Barton about the affinity that Ian Fleming, the James Bond. Did you read that?
No, but they kept, every time I look up something on Royal St. George's, they're talking about Ian Fleming.
I'll tweet
James
it.
Bond.
It's fantastic, and it's
mentioned in the Goldfinger book.
Exactly.
Right? They have like an imaginary match at Royal St. George's.
But it really gets into the soul of the place and everything like that. So I would highly encourage reading that.
Very quick, like, I don't know. This is going to be so backhanded, so I'll just lean into it. But Golf Digest has been doing some good stuff lately.
They pulled themselves out of a death spiral.
What I will say is, like, yes, it seems like they've been focusing on like golf. Yeah, and it's been great. I've greatly enjoyed a ton of stuff they've done recently. So
I don't know. I'm looking for the WAG slideshows.
They need some help. Still need some help in headlines and teasers for tweets. There's still
sure. It doesn't all happen overnight.
I agree. I agree with you. There's a lot of good content.
Some good feature writing in there.
Yeah, it's been really good. Good to see.
All right, let's wrap it. We'll be doing live shows, of course, all week. You can catch them either on our YouTube channel, live on Twitter, or on our podcast feed after they are no longer live. And look forward to a fun week of content. So thanks, everyone, for tuning in. And we'll see you boys later this week. Cheers.